End. Shots ring out in Yellowstone County, sending one man to the hospital. We've got the latest on what sparked the violence and turning up the heat on safety.
I'm John Shearer from Yellowstone National Park here at Biscuit Basin, and coming up, I'll explain how a steam explosion right here last summer is changing the way that emergency planning is being prepared for the park.
A volcanic-sized warning coming out of Yellowstone Park. The MTN 430 News starts right now. Good evening. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday. I'm Andrea Lutz. A major shakeup could be coming to the Billings City Council, trimming the seats from 11 to just 7 council members. The move could save tens of thousands of dollars, money that could be redirected into city projects. Tonight, our Haley Monaco breaks down the proposal and what it could mean for your voice at City Hall.
I think having the council
for decades, this is what Billings City Council has looked like.
10 council members and a mayor.
Since 1977, 11 council members representing Billings.
There really is no purpose to have 11 functionally.
But Councilmember Scott Aspenleiter proposed reducing those numbers from 11 to 7.
Time and time again, we've proven it to be very inefficient, very cumbersome.
On a 9-2 vote, council agreed to consider the reduction.
I move to put a reduction in council size up on the July 7th work session for consideration of ballot language for the 2025 general election.
This comes as a way to save money. After a change in state property tax laws, Billings is put in a deficit.
I think people should be worried about the city budget and the impacts of these tax bills yesterday. We're living it now. I mean, we had to make $2.2 million of cuts in this budget.
So I'll support the idea of having the discussion. I probably won't support the idea of the reduction for a number of reasons we'll get into, but
it was met with some pushback as the proposal wasn't on the agenda.
I'm going to vote against it. Largely on a procedural issue. The public doesn't know what we're doing.
It's a huge change to our community in the way they're represented. And I think that would be harmful to our community. So I won't support putting this on the initiative.
The exact amount of money this would save has not been identified yet.
It's less than $100,000 by a long shot. I mean, so it's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of, $40,000 to $50,000.
Anything to save funding.
We're in tough financial straits to look at every opportunity we can to save the city money.
In Billings, Haley Monaco, MTN News.
Tonight, gunfire on the Billings far west end. A dispute between 2 men ends with one shot. One rushed to the hospital, the other cooperating with investigators. The shooting happened around 11 a.m. in the 7400 block of Burlington Avenue. Yellowstone County Sheriff Michael Linder says the victim was conscious and talking when taken to the hospital. The suspect stayed on scene and is working with authorities. Linder says the gunfire followed a dispute between the two. There's no threat to the public. A Bridger ambulance driver, remembered for decades of service, has died from injuries in a crash while on duty. 84-year-old Everett Edwards passed away 2 days ago, nearly a week after the crash. Montana Highway Patrol says Edwards was heading north on Highway 310 last Monday when his ambulance turned left onto Goldie Road and collided with a southbound Ford F-350. The other driver, an 85-year-old Bridger man, was also injured. His condition has not been released. Carbon County Sheriff Josh McQuillan says Edwards spent more than 40 years serving his community in emergency response.
An active weather day for Montana and Wyoming, exactly where we thought it was going to be in our far eastern counties. You can see some more severe thunderstorms over northeastern parts of Wyoming. Another one issued a severe thunderstorm warning out for this cell about 48 miles southeast of Ekalaka. Ping pong ball size hail with that. That lasts until 5 o'clock. Also some more thunderstorms just to the south of Baker and some more active weather in and around Glendive and southward. That severe thunderstorm warning also lasts until 5 o'clock with the potential of at least $half size, if not golf ball sized hail, and some more wind gusts of 60 miles an hour. Some further areas of rain showers and thunderstorms further north as well. I'll have a complete 7-day forecast with more changes coming up in just a few minutes.
Tonight, new questions about just how much damage the U.S. really did to Iran's nuclear program. President Donald Trump calls the strike a complete success, but sources say it may have only delayed Iran's progress by months. Joe St. George has the latest.
Did the United States significantly destroy Iran's nuclear program? The Associated Press, confirming a story first filed by CNN, reports that Iran may have only been set back a few months and that it was not the complete destruction that President Trump has suggested. The White House is denying that report, but in Washington, there remains questions about what exactly was achieved. President Trump spending part of Wednesday at The Hague in the Netherlands for the NATO summit, where the ceasefire between Iran and Israel remained the focus of much of the world.
It's going very well.
Overnight, the fragile ceasefire between Iran and Israel continued to hold, however, with all sides claiming victory in some form. Israel issuing a warning to Iran to not restart any nuclear development.
If anyone in Iran attempts to revive this project, we will act with the same determination, with the same strength.
Now the question is, can the world use this period of calm to strike a diplomatic deal with Iran? The political chief at the United Nations, Rosemary DiCarlo, said on Tuesday she hopes so.
The ceasefire agreement is an opportunity to avoid a catastrophic escalation and achieve a peaceful resolution of the Iran nuclear issue.
On Capitol Hill, meanwhile, many Democrats who condemned President Trump's military order against Iran remain furious that they have yet to be briefed by the White House on why the president struck Iran in the first place and what was actually achieved. A Tuesday briefing was postponed.
What is the administration hiding? It's time for answers.
Scripps News has confirmed that that briefing has been rescheduled for Thursday. For senators, it will take place on Friday for members of the House. Joe St. George, Scripps News Group, Washington.
A big investment in mental health for rural and tribal communities in Montana. Governor Gray Gianforte announcing $2.5 million in grants to tackle behavioral health challenges across our state. 8 counties and 2 tribes will each receive up to $250,000. The funding helps build behavioral health toolkits to map out needs and resources or train local health workers that handle mental health crises and connect people with care. Recipients include Dawson, Garfield, and Richland counties, along with the Rocky Boy, Chippewa Cree tribe, and the Little Shell tribe. Yellowstone is turning up the heat on safety with a new plan to tackle natural hazards like thermal explosions and earthquakes. The move comes after the sudden blast at Biscuit Basin last year left geologists rethinking their approach. Now, as MTN's John Shear reports, scientists are looking ahead and preparing for whatever erupts next.
No one was hurt in this thermal explosion last year, but it was a close call.
A lot of that was directed away from the boardwalk. So the biggest rocks fell out towards the river instead of in the other direction, which is toward the boardwalk. And it gave people time to get away from that area immediately bordering the pool.
Now, for the first time in 11 years, there's a new plan for dealing with events like this.
A plan, a blueprint for how the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory would deal with some sort of geologic hazard.
Mike Pullen is the scientist in charge of the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory. He says there was one overriding lesson from last summer's explosion. It was that scientists may not be the first to know what's happening.
The information flow initially came in the direction that we didn't expect, that it came from visitors and park staff to the volcanologists.
The thermal area here at Biscuit Basin is still plenty active. We've seen the video that proves that. You can also see a little geyser that's going off back here a ways. Now, scientists have a new way to monitor this. A camera has been installed that can transmit still pictures and records video.
And in fact, we don't know if there are really reliable precursors to things like what happened at Biscuit Basin. So that's an area where I think we have a lot more we can learn.
And it's a pretty steep learning curve.
That's a pretty big challenge, is forecasting those sort of small events. They may be small, but as the Biscuit Basin episode showed us, they can be pretty impactful.
That's not the only geologic hazard in Yellowstone, but some are pretty rare. A major volcano only happens once or twice every million years. You get about 100 lava flows in a million years. And Poland says one is not likely anytime soon. Then there are more common events, such as 1 or 2 strong earthquakes every 100 years.
We don't know that much about which faults are the most likely to go, but there's a lot of them that could go. So that hazard's a pretty important one.
And small hydrothermal explosions happen almost every year. But Poland says it's not the geologists who coordinate an emergency response.
So it's our responsibility to get the information that the land managers need so that they can make smart decisions.
To do that, the scientists need information. And while Poland says Yellowstone is the most monitored volcano in the world, most of the monitoring is aimed at earthquakes.
And we're going to be expanding to some of the other geyser basins as resources allow in the years to come. So, Biscuit is sort of the next target, trying to get a handle of monitoring Upper Geyser Basin. And then hopefully moving to other basins in the park in the years to come. That's the plan.
With a goal of keeping people in the park safe.
I mean, ultimately, that's the whole point of these response plans, is to make sure that people are protected.
In Yellowstone National Park, I'm John Shearer for MTN News.
The 4th of July holiday is approaching, and TSA says it's gonna be a busy one. TSA expects 18.5 million people to travel by air from July 1st to July 7th. The highest passenger volume is expected on that Sunday with 2.9 million passengers. This past Sunday, June 22nd, was the busiest day in the agency's history, with TSA screening nearly 3.1 million travelers. For the 11th year in a row, Chick-fil-A takes the lead in customer satisfaction. The American Customer Satisfaction Index is based on surveys of more than 16,000 people. Chick-fil-A came out on top with a score of 83 out of 100. Panda Express and Starbucks tied for second with 80 points each.